So if I'm Nick Walker, I may be thinking Detroit's not looking that bad.
What's up guys, I'm Malcolm. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So guys, channel membership is now live. Link is in the description and the first comment. Do check it out. That would really help support the channel. So Detroit Pro is now less than 6 days away. And there is gonna be a very anticipated battle in Classic Physique division at this show. And that is gonna be between Wesley and Matt Greco. And that is gonna be a rematch. So interestingly, both these guys, they posted a most muscular shot. So the difference is that Wesley only revealed his upper body, and we already know that his upper half is gonna look absolutely unbelievable. And we also know it's all gonna come down to how much of that size he can recover, especially in the legs department, after what happened during that Arnold peak week. And the thing is, if there is still some noticeable imbalance, which is pretty much expected at this point, this is gonna be a very tough show for Wesley to win. But remember, just a few months ago, the judges placed Wesley over Matt Greco at the Olympia last year. So this is gonna be another exciting battle. So where does Jack Eagles fit in this whole equation? Well, after the way his pro debut went, it isn't just a matter of him coming in more full and big as a house. He is way behind in terms of the muscularity compared to these top Olympians. So Wesley has already announced that he's taking the whole year off, regardless of the results of this upcoming show. But this is gonna be a crucial show for Matt Greco. He wants to earn his Olympia qualification as early as he possibly can. And going by the extent of improvements that he has been able to make in the past couple of years, the man is gonna continue to improve at a very fast pace this year too. Now I do believe both Wesley and Matt Greco, they have a good potential to be very good open bodybuilders if they invest more time, especially in terms of growing and putting on more muscle. I mean, just imagine if Classic Physique wasn't introduced back in 2016. All these tall guys, they would have had no option but to chase more size and be competitive in the men's open class. So between Wesley and Matt Greco, who do you guys have winning this upcoming Detroit Pro? And if Wesley loses here, what does his future gonna look like as a Classic Physique combatant? So Hosstile has just dropped some new merchandise, and all the Hosstile supplements and the products, they are tagged in this video. Click the arrow down below and use the code Fazi10 to get 10% extra discount. So the mutant Nick Walker publishes another physique update on his road to his comeback to this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro. So his most muscular, that is one of his strongest shots, and this is a shot in which he can beat both Martin as well as Derek Lunsford. So this show is probably the most difficult one for the mutant and his entire pro career. And quite honestly, the first one where his fate isn't even in his own hands. The thing is, he has never beaten Derek Lunsford before. And the Derek that he competed against back in 2022, that Derek had a lot of holes to fill in his physique, and Nick Walker still lost to him. And the Derek that we saw at this past Arnold, that was his all-time best. And if he can duplicate that same look for this year's Pittsburgh Pro as well, it's just game over for everyone, including Nick and Martin. And that only means one thing. Nick is gonna have to do the New York Pro. And maybe Cali Pro as well. Now Sean Ray had a totally different take on Nick's current situation. He even said that Nick Walker should have stayed leaner during the offseason. And he also said that Nick should have gone for this upcoming Detroit Pro to make sure he gets his Olympia qualification, which again I'm gonna say is a little too much. I mean, what the hell are these guys thinking?
If he's not doing Detroit, he's going to have to start thinking, do I go to Canada? Do I go to the California Pro? If I can't win in Pittsburgh and I can't win in New York, he's going to be competing somewhere in the month of June. I'm thinking, okay, Derek is here. It's going to get interesting, but shoot, I don't want to be
Yep.
dieting and training all year to be beaten by Mr. Olympia. Now I got to consider going to New York, and I got to deal with him either there or maybe I got to deal with getting past Fitzwater. I want the sure bet. So you know what? I'm going to go into Detroit. Screw it.
The thing is, Nick's coach, he himself said that if Nick is big and is full as a house, there is nobody in the current men's open class that he's afraid to stand next to. So that wish is about to come true in 6.5 weeks' time. So Nick Walker was pretty confident that he's gonna beat Derek in both the side shorts, especially in the side chest. But that statement was made before this year's Arnold. There is so much on the line for the mutant Nick Fokker here at this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro. But all this added pressure that might help Nick Fokker to deliver his all-time best. Now, will that be enough to knock out the reigning Arnold champion and one of the biggest contenders for the Olympia this year? Well, I have to say not if Derek is on. That question right now is pretty simple. It's Derek's show to lose. Next up, we have a full-blown off-season physique update from Muhammad Nassour. So that's a 300 pounds monster right there. And considering he is far from being the biggest guy on the stage, Muhammad Nassour pushing his limits in the off-season, and that too while maintaining such a good body composition. That, I have got to say, is so phenomenal. Now, for those of you guys who do not know, this guy is a former Olympian, but in the past few shows that Muhammad Nassour did, he just hasn't been able to place that well. Now, first of all, that was obviously because of the lack of size, and secondly, the level of competition that has also gone up in the past 3 years. Now, he competed last year at Europa Pro and France, and the one thing that has remained constant with this guy is that how shredded he gets every single time he steps on stage. So looking at some of his pictures from France Pro last year and comparing them to his off-season updates, the man looks like an absolute monster right now. He's obviously far from being contest ready right now, but all this added size, if he manages to translate all that on the stage, in whatever show he decides to compete in next, I think he's gonna be super dangerous. But once again, we cannot remember when was the last time bodybuilding was this competitive, and we are gonna see multiple former Olympians fail to make it to the Olympia stage this time, or in the upcoming years too, because of this trend that all the major competitions, they are gonna be filled up with all these top Olympians, and the increase in the prize money that is gonna make majority of these guys compete in multiple shows every single year to collect those big paychecks. So the Texas Pro runner-up from last year, Jordan Hutchison, is also looking pretty damn huge during this offseason. So put him in the list of those elite bodybuilders club who soon is gonna be hitting 300 pounds mark. So Jordan had a great season last year. At first, he did not get noticed. I believe Chicago Pro was his first show of the season, but he came back so much better for Tampa Pro and even better for Texas Pro. So the Texas 2024 media coverage, that was all dedicated to Andrew Jacked, just because the man looked so unbelievable. But Jordan was also extremely impressive at that show. So the one thing that stood out for him was that he was able to maintain rock-solid conditioning from one show to the next one. And the only critique, that was to come back with more muscle, more mass. Now, if you look back at him and his physique evolution from 2021, when he won his pro card, to last year, he got bigger in all the right areas without compromising his overall symmetry, his amazing aesthetics, and his flow last year that was so much better than 2021. And the reason for that was his quads grew so much, while the waist remained exactly the same. Now, if we break down his physique from last year, he needed more arms and more chest. And that is what Jordan has been doing throughout this off-season. Now, it has been a very long off-season, and with the way things are looking right now, expect some major improvements by the time he steps on stage this year. So James Hollingshead posted another physique update, just days out of this year's Detroit Pro. So he was spotted next to one of the most hardcore trainers the sport of bodybuilding has ever seen, Branch Warren. So the only way James wins these big shows, and Detroit should definitely be considered a big show, since William Bonac is gonna be there, who is a former Arnold champion. So the only way for James Hollingshead to win this show is if James brings that same level of hardness and craziness as Branch Warren. And that has always been his goal throughout his career. Now James Hollingshead in his most recent update looks very decent, very hot, and he looks way fuller than he did at this past Arnold. So the man is roughly 15 pounds heavier compared to what he weighed on this year's Arnold stage. Now of course he's gonna lose some of that before Detroit Pro prejudging, but still it is absolutely guaranteed that he's gonna be much bigger, and that is the right way to go. The thing is, he was just way too flat at the Arnold prejudging, And we cannot ignore the fact that he has some structural disadvantages when he stands next to some of these other top guys. But we keep going back to his Arnold 2024 look. That was a superb combination of size and conditioning. And he did beat some great guys last year, like a Kim Williams and Antoine Violet. So it's all gonna come down to how perfectly Stefan peaks him for this upcoming show. So is this the best James has looked throughout this year? Well, I'm gonna say most likely yes. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.